Good morning, traders. Just checking my audio here. Hold on. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 3 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, November 5th. So some reductions were held yesterday. I'm not sure if anything upset the apple cart. I have not followed it. So um, we'll go from there to see if that's headline risk or not. I have no idea. So with that being said, let's get into some technical analysis and let's go back and do a little bit of a profile review on yesterday. But before we get into TA, let's just look at the schedule of events that are known for today, right? So we had ADP come in, within the margin of error of what was expected. We're gonna have ISM at 10. We have a little bit at 9:45. Crude at 10:30. And then we have President Trump that's going to be speaking at 1 o'clock at the American Business Forum in Miami. And like any great politician, right, he's going to use the microphone while he has it to say whatever he wants to say, other than what the topic's supposed to be, because that's how they run. So there is headline risk with this 1 o'clock news event. So keep that in mind if we're just consolidating or if we're not near an entry or an exit. Maybe sit on your hands and see if you get a new entry out of this. Or if you've been in something for a while, you can put your stops in, but there will probably be a stop run. Keep that in mind. And then, or shake and bake as we call it, and then maybe finish going to targets if there's anything going on at that point in time. We're going to have Bank of England tomorrow, right? And then on Friday, we're going to have non-farm payroll. We'll see if that actually happens or not. Uh, so let's get into yesterday. Uh, I post these pictures in the equity profiles every day, but I'm not sure that there's a lot of new people in the room now, so let's just go over what it is. So this blue is the overnight range, right? This is from when the session started um, to Monday night at 6 o'clock, right, until just before the opening bell or right at the opening bell on Tuesday, right? So from Monday night at 6 till Tuesday's opening bell, that was the overnight session for the session we were in yesterday. This is what the distribution looked like. You can see it had like if you draw a stick down and then a bubble out, it forms a lower letter, lowercase b, right? And a lot of profile traders just, that's a pattern of a liquidation break, but really it's a pattern of, you know, uh, consolidation, a move lower to consolidate and a keep away trade, because especially if the distribution was near the top end the previous day, right? It's just keep away, and we'll see if what we can get out of it. So after that, right, the opening bell rings. So remember, all these traders are down here in the blue. This is where most of the positions are from overnight, right? So we also had a 2 sigma move overnight that night, right? So what happens is, traders that are not, no one's expecting a 2 sigma move. If you are, you're a fool, right? You should be expecting it to stay in 1 sigma, and then anything beyond that's more or less a lottery ticket. So as traders come into the day, right, the bearers that had positions on are in the money. As price starts rising, right, they're in the money is less than the money, right? So they start just taking money, right? So you see this big distribution up here that's above there. This is what happened in both of the indexes yesterday, right? We kind of stalled out, but we're above where the meat of the overnight distribution was. But it's a nice exit for traders who had a position on from Monday's close, right? So they're sitting there, but look at how much the volume is greater than what the volume was in the overnight, especially for the ES. And then after that, right, you come back down, you can see this low volume node. You just come back and republish in that distribution that was there. And for the NASDAQ, right, you go lower. For the ES, you do not. So that's just a little bit of just looking at what it was. These are just session fibs. This on the left side is bell to bell with my custom internals on the bottom of it. And then Over on the right side, it's for the complete session. Nothing special here. This isn't anything that you should, it's just a little bit of an indication of how the session is going for me, right? These aren't the fibs that you should really be, throwing your 1Rs on. But it does give you a little bit of indication what's going on. The top one is a bull check, right? Every time a new low is made, it's seeing if there's a sequence rising. The bottom one is a bear check. Every time a new high is made, it just follows a sequence down to see if you got anything going on. So you can see that for the bulls, right, they just kept getting run over on that liquidation break. Then coming into the morning, right, you had this a lot of trading that took place here, right? I was long with a very small position coming into opening bell, basically against that low, looking for a shakeout of those traders, right? It could have went either way. We don't know. But you got that shakeout, and then look at how long the time stall was up here. Jack always says, if it's not moving in your direction in a while, you can go, and we'll see some other technology. But you also hit the halfway back short on the session, kind of consolidated there, and then just petered off the rest of the day. So as we look at what that would do in the normal pictures that I share for the day, we had 25,823 was a this was a distribution, and I covered this, but maybe not explicitly, or for the new traders, not enough that you could understand. But there's an auction between these orange lines, and there's an auction below it, right? So um, we got up into this auction, and the first 45 minutes we're in there, the pullback low was right to this. But as you come back over in the next 30-minute period, you couldn't get over it. And I even made a comment in the room, it's going to be dicey below there, right? So as you lost this, you come back into the auction that was below 25,823. And as you come back, you just kind of drifted down, right? That's all it was. And as you look at the ES did it, but it got back up to the bottom of the 1 sigma move yesterday, and then that's also where the rejection was. So with all that said, let's get into today's stuff, right? Yesterday's point of control, 6801, with a point of control going back to the breakout of October 23rd, right? And then we had the breakout on the 24th, but that's 67, 80, 75. That's still your bogey for, can we get things going below there or not? So if we look at the overnight session, we traded under it, right? So there's a 6-week distribution that's under 67, 80, 75. Uh, there's a lot of bears that thought that as we were coming up here on this day, right, that this was the greatest short, the greatest thing. They were going to get paid. We're going to take out this low. We're going to keep going down. We're going to get to these untested points of control. And they got nothing, right? You got forced up, and then you come back down. So we've just tested back into this 6-week distribution in the overnight. It says, I really don't like it down there. We spent 6 weeks at it before. Let's see if we like this up here. So that's still that 67, 80, 75 is still your split basis for me. And it's you're about 21 points above that right now in the overnight session. So as I'm not going to beat that up. It's very similar. So if we look at the overnight session, right, we had some underwater trades that went off of the Nasdaq. We spent the majority of the overnight in this distribution below. And if you look at where the toss 1 sigma move was for the bottom, right? And again, I said you should always expect it to hold within there, within reason. That's as day traders, we're only looking for bread and butter, right? We're not looking for 5, 6, 7 sigmas down or up. If you keep looking for that, you're going to get screwed. You have to see 1 sigma turn into 2 sigmas and 3 sigmas, right? It needs to keep going. It can't just go it can't revert back up if you think that's what's going on. You can hold runners when you see that and take small positions because they'll be quick moves. But as we come back up, right, we hit the previous day's low, we come back down, and that looks like a technical bid right there, and come back up, and we're positive again after being several hundred points negative last night on that one-day expected move. And if you look at the ES, very similar, come down to that the bottom of the one sigma move. It doesn't mean we're going to go to the top of it, but there's definitely a possibility, right? Because you got traders that are uh, caught off sides, and all those bears that were short in that 6 weeks that are still holding on, longer term bears, right? As price moves up, they're not going to be happy. So let's get into some positioning now. There's really not a lot to look at for the SPX. The real thing that you want to look at is the SPY, and that's the title of my video, SPY 670. So you can see there's a lot of puts at 670, 65,557 coming into the day for this week, and then just for today, 17,500. So you've got what should be the support area for today and this week, both lining up, right? That's what we traded in the overnight session exactly. So if we get below there, the VIX needs to be above yesterday's high. It needs to be one time framing higher, and then there is room to go down, right? Otherwise, you start getting into where the agreement zone is, what I call it, where you see, a fair amount of puts, a fair amount of calls, right? The blues, the calls on the top, the puts are on the bottom here, and the orange, whatever you want to call it. Um, so there's room to go from 673 up to 678, and basically all the way up to 682 to 84. Uh, so right now, the SPY is trading 675.55 after trading 670 in the overnight. So we're, right here. And then you can see there's, 678 is a large gamma, right? That's your call wall for the day. So the VIX really needs to be below yesterday's low, in my opinion, and one time framing down to really hold substantially above this 678. It doesn't mean that's the way it has to play out, but that would be more probable if you're holding longs, right? That would make me want to hold the longs. Otherwise, I would just be holding I would have a smaller position on, right? I'd have a little bit bigger position on if my targets were up above there, if the VIX was below and holding below the previous day. So as we look at the Qs, right, 630, large gamma, we're currently trading 619 after trading 612 in the overnight. So we got down to 612 here, and then you can see 615 has some gamma on it, and then 618 to 621, and we're trading 619 right now. So the bulls need to get above 620, and then there's really not a lot. I mean, there's some agreement here, but it's not dissimilar between 620 and 625. That's a 200 point move, and then you'd have to start seeing some action, but there is room to go from 625 all the way up to 630 with I would really watch 628. So take these in steps. I would sell 615, 620, 625, 628, 630. Those are your major areas for gamma on the Qs today. So as we look at what it looks like on the positioning grid, again, after trading down to 612 in the Qs, we're currently trading 620 right now. So we'll see if that ends up being, a little bit of a resistance area or not. And I think it should be a fair sided market. We could potentially end up with a bullish engulfing candle up. Uh, Keep in mind where this selling started from last night. The opening, the range, and this would be, right near this one-day expected move high. So I'm not looking for the high of the previous day to get taken out, but I think you could get up to 25,000. 775 potentially, and that's really where yesterday's open was. And right around yesterday's bell open was at 25,742. Uh, High probability of potentially testing that at some point today. And then yesterday's euro close was right at 25,771 quarter. So that's the little zone that I'm looking at, and I think you're getting greedy, even though the 1 day expected move is right at value area high up here. I think you're getting greedy beyond this clear zone in the value. So I hope this helps. We'll see what Jack's looking at next. I'll try to do a little bit more profile stuff for the newer people in the room to show you, what's going on with distributions and, time and volume. And you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.